everyone, it's Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. So this is the last sketch or the last page that I'm making for the sketch that Crafty Maggie and I are doing for the month of April. And I am doing something different. Once again, I'm doing a traveler's notebook page. And we are using, both of us are going to be using the Paige Evans Pick Me Up collection. And I love the triangle paper, but on the opposite side is this peach color. And I really wanted to use something neutral as my background. Now, I didn't show the Traveler's Notebook. It was something that I got at Tuesday morning. It was from Illustrated Faith, and it came like 2 in a package. And I really like this. For one thing, it laid flat whenever I opened it. I'm trying to keep it as thin as I possibly can. This is actually the second Traveler's Notebook I'm using to create this trip that I had taken in 2000 and I think it was 2015. Oh goodness, it's really bad. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. But it was a trip that I had taken to Europe, and I was kind of challenged by Megan. I mentioned it before from last week that I had done a page when I was in Paris, but and I said how I was talking with her and how I take all these trips, but I rarely do I scrapbook them. But I did start a traveler's notebook for this trip. It was a cruise, a Mediterranean cruise that I had taken. And oh goodness, I wasn't not even halfway through it, but I was trying to do a page or two on each of the places that we stopped. And this is the day that we went to Rome, and it's kind of hard to tell, but that is the Colosseum. And I love architecture. I absolutely love it. And the things that kind of caught my eye, I took pictures of it. I believe those are 2x2 photos. I had printed those from my home printer. I use a program I think it's called Pick Stitch. I'll have to look it up. I'll put it down below. Um, anyway, so what I've done is the frames that I had used from last week, I used some more again today, and it is putting it as I'm putting it as a foundation for my photos. And I'm trying to use as many of the scraps that I can. I don't really have a lot left over. I don't really want to cut into a brand new sheet of paper since I am using a traveler's notebook. It doesn't take up a lot of space. So I'm trying to use whatever scraps I do have. So I do like this striped paper, and it helps separate the photos from the frames. And absolutely love this tonic guillotine trimmer. And I look forward to getting the bigger one because I really like the way this one cuts. It cuts very straight. The straightest one I've seen. I have to have some of the other trimmers because I can't gut paper, with the guillotine trimmer. So that strip of paper that is over on the right-hand side that is going vertically is a scrap of watercolor paper. I had done a couple of samples of colors that I had watercolored on some watercolor paper that I had nearby, and I just kept it, and I was able to use it twice. So I was kind of excited about that. So I'm trying to make a place to put my title, or at least part of my title. It's going to say Marvelous down there in the bottom right-hand corner. And now it comes to the time where we glue down all of those frames. It's pretty approximate. When I pick them up, I don't know exactly where they were before, but just in the general vicinity. And I kind of have them staggered, different colors, different shapes, different sizes, but definitely covering the whole area where my photos are going to be. Now that little pink strip, it actually says fabulous. And I had cut that from the paper. You saw me do that. And I cut another one that's in the bottom left-hand corner. It says The Good Life. And those are from just some pattern paper in some of the scraps I had left over. And I bet you're thinking, this really doesn't look like the sketch. I know I totally went off. I was inspired by the sketch, but I ended up just making this the way that I like it. Um, yeah, it doesn't really match the sketch too much at all. But anyway, I like the way that it turned out, and I'm glad that I have another page from a trip that is scrapbooked and into a traveler's notebook. I don't do a lot of traveler's notebook pages. I'm trying to do more and more. I usually make them themed. So I have several started. They're not finished yet. I've never finished one yet. So the next thing that going on is, just gluing everything down. What I like to do is to trim both sides of the traveler's notebook. I want them individual, and that way I can just glue them onto the page when they're completed. I need to make them a little thinner, not as wide, because whenever you close the book, it kind of gets caught in the center. So I need to work on. I thought I had trimmed it or cut it shorter, but I don't think I, had trimmed them short enough. There really wasn't a lot on this page. I didn't do any sequins. The only thing that has any depth, I did use some puffy stickers that were from the Pick Me Up collection. I also used the the thickers from the Pick Me Up collection, and that is part of my title. But they're not very thick. I'm not worried about it. So far in this book, that is the thickest thing I have. So here's the puffy stickers. Down there is a thumbs up. And over here by the top photo is a little heart. And the down below, I just put it's a circle with a red heart in it. And above the word fabulous is a lemon. Now, not necessarily this region of Rome, but a little bit more south, towards Naples. They are known for their lemons and the limoncello. Yum. Never had limoncello until I went on this cruise. In fact, to be honest with you, I've never heard of it. So I don't use any. Oh, yes, I do. Oh, I take that back. I do use a rub on, and it's going to be those flowers. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put them. I know I like it. And this is a very simple page. There's not a lot to it. The little bow that is also a puffy sticker that I got from the set. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to add any little strip there? And I don't. So here's the alpha. Here's the chipboard that I use for my title. And the title is Colosseum. But to be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure how to spell it. So I thought, does it have two L's? Does it have one L, two S's, one S? So I had to look it up. And because it had 9 letters, I decided to break it up into 3 rows. So, because the letters were big, and I know I mentioned this before too, these are not my favorite letters. I usually like a very classic looking letter, and these are a little too whimsical for me, but it seemed to go well for this page. And I wanted to make sure that the colors, there were no 2 colors alike. And even though they are sticky on the back, I know that they'll come off, so I have to use some wet glue, and I do use the Scotch quick drying tacky glue, and I put that in my little bottle with a fine line nozzle, and it gives me just the right amount of glue whenever I, glue, need to use it. Now, for this, I did not cut out anything. I showed everything that I did. There, that way you can see my whole process. There really wasn't a lot going on. It's very simple. And then the last thing that I'm gonna do is the the rub-on. Now the rub-ons, they go on really easy, and it has a lot to do because they are brand new. I'm hoping that the formula is better so that if I do put this aside for a year, heaven forbid, they'll still, rub on really well. I know that I had bought some Basic Gray years ago, and they did not last long, and they were some of my favorite. All right, so this is where the rub-on's gonna go, and I believe you don't have to use the stick that comes with it. I tried my fingernail first, and I know that it's not really the best, so I use my tweezers, the end of my tweezers, and then I lift it up, and if it's still not, rubbed down, I just keep rubbing until it comes off. And that is pretty much it. Thanks for joining me, and be sure to check out Megan's page, and you guys have a great weekend. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.